please call the roll?
Mayor Nancy Moore,
Here?
Alders Rick Bernstein.
Here.
We know Patrick DePula is excused. Brian Holmquist will be here shortly. Alder Teresa Rademacher. Here. Alder Doug Wood.
Here.
Alder Rachel Kugel. Here.
Okay.
Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 15th, 2026?
So moved.
I'll second.
And I have a second. Do I have any changes, corrections, or additions to the minutes? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions, minutes are approved. I do not believe there are any appearances tonight. Is there anybody
Check on mine here.
that's not on the agenda?
Nope.
We have no public hearing. Well, I would say that there is, sorry, I'm going to go back up to appearances. Kara is here tonight and would like to speak unless we're wanting her to speak in front of a closed session before and then leave.
That would certainly be your call, Mayor.
It can be either way.
So, I don't know if there's any, I guess if it would depend if there's significant questions for her at that point. But I had a couple of questions, but I think we've answered most of those earlier today. So, but it would be your call. Maybe safe have her come up right now if you'd like.
Okay, I'm just saying, it's okay to have her in closed session technically to say something and then leave if we wanted to, or would you rather have it, or is it better?
I
In
think
terms
it's
of Robert's rules, would it be better for
Bonnie's
us?
choice, isn't it? No?
Well,
If they wanted, they can
what
invite
she
her
here
in
to
for
speak
questions.
about?
The lease or license, San Damiano license.
Yeah, it should be done now.
It should be done.
Okay.
That's what I thought. Okay, Kara, could you please come up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I also want to thank the council and Attorney Cole and Mayor Moore and City Administrator Neal for moving the short-term license forward because it does provide opportunity for the Friends of San Damiano to create programming and build programming at San Damiano Park. So I appreciate you moving this forward. As you know, the liquor laws have recently changed, and we are hoping to establish a liquor license at the park so we can establish rental programs, particularly weddings and other celebrations. I wanted to speak today on the short-term license, just because as outlined in the license, the limited use of the Frank Gallis House to 10 days per calendar month and no more than 4 hours per day, I believe, as an office space for the Friends of San Damiano, is a concern, a barrier to us building a successful rentals program. Namely, it doesn't support the Friends of San Damiano expanding public trust and buy-in in our vision, and it limits our ability to establish team alignment and build organization culture. It does not allow space for spontaneous collaboration with visitors to the park. I can not tell you how many conversations I've had with people who are just walking through the park and using the park, and it also hinders the creation of organizational programs, I believe. We acknowledge that the building is not up to code, namely it does not have heat, and that there is a limited capacity to the building. It's not open for public use at this time. However, we are a staff of 2, and having it as an office space would be a great advantage to us building our organization.
Seasonally.
Seasonally, yes. So having his office space in the summertime, spring, summer, and fall. So we would like to see the license changed from the 10 days per calendar month and 4 hours per day to business hours, which we can establish, but hopefully longer than 4 hours per day, with mid-April to mid-October, with no winter use until the heat is established in the building. We believe that this is essential at this stage in our organization's development because we are in the early stage and need flexibility to establish consistent programming, operations, and community engagement. And also, as stewards of the property, it's important for us to be on site so that we know what's happening and we're able to take care of issues as they arise. Also, many events that we have on site are 4 hours themselves and require more than 4 hours of office space for preparation. We're also entering a capital campaign, which will require a great amount of preparation, and so having the building as an office space for the board would be very important to us. So that is what I'd like to speak on today, is the 10 hours per month, 4 hours per day of office space that the Friends of San Damiano can use at the Frank Ellis House.
You want 4 hours a day.
We want more than 4 hours a day. We'd like 6 to 8 if possible. And more than 10 hours per month.
10 days per month.
10 days per month, yeah, sorry. 10 days per month, 4 hours. Sorry.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank
Are-
you, appreciate it.
This is the public appearance section,
There's
so,
no questions.
exactly, so,
Thank you.
okay.
Wait. No, go ahead. I mean, we can ask questions. They just can't debate with us. We don't get into a back and forth, but, I mean, that's kind of part of the whole point, is people come here and say something, and if it's not good, you can ask them a question.
Yeah,
Can we
that's
not?
correct. Yeah, the council can ask questions of the person. The person just cannot ask questions of the council, nor can the council deliberate among themselves.
Okay.
Okay. Don't recall that ever occurring,
So,
but
Kara, I have
do
a-
you-
I have a
come on
question
back
for
up,
Kara.
please. And Alder Rademacher,
Thank you.
did you have a question?
Yeah, so I think you're referring to page 5 or page 12 of the packet, however you look at it, page 12 of 44 pages. You're talking about the office hours. It already says that permanent office space is not allowed. Short-term space is. So if I understood you correctly, it's just the number of hours per day. And also, what was the 10, the number of
Days per calendar
days
month.
per calendar month? That's not enough.
Yes.
Okay.
Preferably the full calendar month,
Yeah.
mid-April through mid-October, because we turned the water off. Last year, we turned the water off in early October. So I'm saying mid-October, but as soon as the water's off, we're not going to be able to use the building. So if we could have it while the water's on, while we can stand to be in the building without heat and without air conditioning,
Mm-hmm.
that would help us establish a presence for our organization
Mm-hmm.
and be a game changer, I believe, in us building this successful organization and building these programs.
To Attorney Cole, what was the rationale for the contract as we see it in our packet? What was the concern that led you to present this as the contract?
The concern being that it not be used as a regular office space, that it be used as more of a transient type of thing, like, preparatory to events or immediately post-event if they needed to store stuff, but that it wouldn't be an established base of operation.
Okay. And because of safety concerns?
Yes, because it doesn't meet building codes, it doesn't meet fire codes, it's not open to the public, should not be open to the public. It's an old building, and I think that's the safety concern.
So, and the safety concern opens up liability?
It could, sure.
Okay.
Any other questions of Kara?
I have one.
Rick?
Yeah, I just noticed in the lease that there's a capacity issue of 500 people at any one time. Do you know how that might be monitored or how you might be able to do that?
Yes, we have established that certain events, like our most recent Concerts on the Shore, there'd be 3 events per year that would have more than 500 people by counting the population by basically guesstimating, because we're not gonna count 1,200 people exactly.
Yeah.
But the rest of the events, aren't built to draw 500 people, nor would there be a rental likely for 500 people. But if there were, we would go to the city administrator and present the event and our safety
Oh,
and parking
for an exemption?
for an exemption. Yep.
Gotcha. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions for Kara? Okay, thank you. So, with that, it's time to go into closed session. So, we have no public hearing, we have no consent agenda. It takes us to G1, unfinished business, convening closed session under Wisconsin statute, section 1985, 1E, deliberating and negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session related to the San Damiano license, and section 19.851E, deliberating and negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session that pertaining to WPS Drive and West Broadway Development Agreement.
Mayor, if I could, just
Yes.
consistent with the City of Marinette decision, we're also
Thank you.
required to say, since we're proposing to go into closed session under 1E, the negotiating and bargaining section. The reason we would do that is to go into closed session so that council can deliberate with staff and give staff direction as to negotiating with the developers of the West Broadway development without them being privy to the conversation.
Thank you. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Is there a motion?
Sorry. Do I have a motion to go into
I'll
closed
move-
session?
Move to go in
Do
closed
I have a
session.
second?
I'll second.
Okay. And would the clerk please call the roll?
Alder Wood,
Aye.
Alder Kugel,
Aye.
Alder Bernstein,
Aye.
Alder Rademacher,
Aye.
Thank you. We are in closed session. We're going to stay here. So, Item, we're back in session, open session, and we are in item GC, consideration of resolution 26-6-2907, approval of interim short-term license for use of the San Damiano property. I believe we have
I'll make a motion to table this till
Okay.
the next meeting.
a motion to table. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Rick.
Do we need more, now shall we discuss the details of the tabling? Do we need to do that?
No.
We don't need instruction on how we want to
Proceed.
No.
loosen the language? Okay.
No.
'Kay.
So we have a motion and a second to table. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Do we need Doug here?
No, where'd he
There's
go?
one more item.
Or no?
No.
You still
Oh,
have,
this Doug, yeah.
you have a quorum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
we
can
have
take it.
one.
No, good,
Okay.
good question,
We're
Marie.
Sorry.
Yeah, good question.
Good catch.
Thank you. Yeah, okay, so we have tabled the license, short-term license. Takes us to new business. A2A, consideration of resolution 26-7-2908, approving a development agreement with Galley Companies, Inc. for mixed-use development at approximately West Broadway and WPS Drive, brought forward by the Community Development Authority. Kelly?
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
I think specifically with this item, we have direction for the development agreement. We have direction, and so this will be considered by the CDA tomorrow night as well. There's still some back and forth, some edits being made with the developer, and we expect that we'll have a final agreement ready for consideration at the next meeting for second
Okay.
read.
Okay.
And certainly
Obviously,
happy.
we just had a lengthy discussion about this, right? In closed session. All right. Thank you. It takes us to B, consideration of resolution 26-7, approving.
To be determined on the resolution.
Right. Thank you for the X's there, Neil.
This is what happens when we
It's
let
just,
Leah go
right,
on
exactly. I was just
vacation.
going to say, this is what happens in the office when Leah's not here. Approving modifications to conditions of approval for a certified survey map for the Green Line development brought forth by the Director of Planning and Economic Development. Doug?
Thank you. So this request is kind of building upon the certified survey map for the Green Line development. You may remember this came forward before the City Council at the last meeting. One of the conditions of approval, condition number 3, was that the proposed layout of the CSM is contingent upon final approval for the relocation of WPS Drive, as discussed during the GDP and BIP for the development. So this is really, the intention of this condition was really, without the relocation of WPS Drive, the proposed certified survey layout cannot happen. In conversation with the developer last week, they are looking to get the CSM recorded, to be able to pull building permits and sort of close on the land and for things to begin moving. The definition and intention of final approval really came up. So they have supplied us with a memo, and that's included in the City Council packet. I think that's page 33. That's included, effectively saying that at this point this is approved, but this is still subject to final design. Final design is not something that will happen in the next couple of weeks and is sort of a little bit further out. So the intention of this request, and the reason this is before you this evening, would be to modify that condition such that the memo that was included in the packet would suffice for that condition, recognizing that discussions will continue to finalize this before that ultimate decision is made. But at this point, all parties are moving in the same direction and pulling towards this.
Okay.
Happy to answer any other questions.
Any questions for Doug on this one now? Again, this is coming back, so any questions can happen over the next few weeks.
Bill, was this something we were looking at one read, if if possible, or?
Or I was actually going to ask that. I meant to
Yeah,
ask that.
the developer would prefer one read, so he
Mhm.
can get the CSM recorded.
Is this,
If possible. but,
Okay.
yeah.
so the developer is requesting one read, and that being the case, do I have a motion to suspend this rules and take this out of order?
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
second? And I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that being the case, then unless there are any other questions, do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
I'll
Do I have a
second.
second? And I have a second from Teresa. Any other questions on this before the vote? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. That takes us to C, consideration of resolution 26-7 something, approving an amendment to the water tower land lease agreement with Selco Partnership, DBA Verizon Wireless, brought forth by the city attorney. Bill?
Thank you, Mayor. This has to do with the tower at Monona Drive at Woodland Park. We have several telecommunication providers that have antennas up there pursuant to leases that they provide us with rental income. One of them is Verizon. They've been on there since 1997. Their lease is about to expire at the end of this year. They want to extend it. This proposed amendment would extend it for 4 additional 5-year terms for a total of 20 years. The rent would be the same currently as it is. It would then continue to escalate at 3% per year. They've been on there for several years. We've had no issues with them. All other provisions of the lease will stay the same.
Just out of curiosity, how many others do we rent that space to?
Oh, at Woodland Park, we have had 4 providers on there.
At
There are
once,
now
okay.
3 because of the, 2 of them merged.
Sure,
Yeah.
okay.
So we have 3 on there, a couple at Huska, and then several here at the hose tower at City Hall. It's a significant revenue source for the city.
And is there an individual contract worked out with each of them? I mean, they don't, I guess I'm just, as I was looking over this document, like, oh, I just wonder what does that go for? What is the income that the city brings? And there must be a reason why it's not here in the open listed.
No, there's
Oh.
no, it's all public record. It varies by provider.
Right,
In the roughly now, and it changes every year, but $45,000 to $55,000 a year.
a year
Mhm.
per,
Per provider.
yeah, okay.
Again, it's pretty straightforward.
Mhm.
We could take it off the list, but it can come back at the next meeting as well.
I'd move to suspend the rules and take it out of order.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other questions for Bill on this one? If not, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstentions.
Good
Motion
call,
You
carries.
can also
Rachel.
take it out of order, correct?
Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
Yes.
Yep.
Suspend the rules and take,
Oh.
God, I
Yeah.
can tell it's 9:30.
Yep.
We just suspended the rules, took it out of order. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
I'll
Well-
second.
Okay, now we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries. Great. Okay, that takes us to consideration of ordinance 7-26 something, amending chapter 272 regarding fencing requirements for alcohol establishments brought forth by the city attorney.
Thank you, Mayor. The proposed ordinance would amend the city code in 3 sections with respect to alcohol establishments. If you look at Exhibit A, that is the red line of the proposed changes. The first one changes the requirement currently under the code in order to get a liquor license. Our code requires that you have control over the property by lease or by deed. The statute only requires that you have legal control. So you can have a lease, you can have a license, you can own it outright, you can have it under a land contract, a lot of different ways, as long as you have the legal right to occupy the property. This proposal would amend the code to bring us into conformity with the state statute says, as opposed to requiring a lease or a deed. The second change has to do with fencing requirements. Currently, when somebody has an outdoor event, they have a temporary beer license, a party permit, or a picnic permit, as the clerks like to call them. We require a double row of snow fencing, and they've got to put it up 48 hours ahead and 48 hours after, for like if you have a beer tent and that sort of stuff. That was the standard many, many years ago. And since then, a lot of communities have lessened that. Here, you've waived that requirement on numerous occasions, just because it is very burdensome. The fencing is not the most aesthetic to look at, that sort of stuff. So this would change it to basically it would require fencing of a size, type, and configuration and location as determined by License Review Committee. So these things go to LRC anyway. They would be the ones to decide how much, if any, fencing would be required. This third change has to do with beer gardens and beer permits. As you may recall, if you're a liquor establishment in Monona and you wish to have liquor served outdoors, at a patio or that sort of thing, we have two different permits that allow for that: a beer garden and a patio permit, depending on if you have a bartender outside with them or not. Both of those, under our current code, require either fencing or a wall on a permanent basis. This then would lessen that again to be consistent with the picnic permits, to basically say that license review would determine the appropriate size, type, configuration, and location for any walls or fencing required by beer gardens and beer permits. The intent is to change the code to be more flexible and basically put it in the purview of license review, rather than tying our hands and requiring a static amount of requirement. All of these things go to license review as a matter of course anyway, so they would see them anyway. And that's available for questions.
Question. When the License Review Committee is doing their work, are they looking at these ordinances? I mean, I guess my point is thinking of like workflow and process. How will these changes that we are making tonight or next time be communicated to the License Review Committee, so that they know that now they need to determine the type of fencing, whereas in the past, they just maybe didn't think they had to be that detailed?
Right, we do have an alder that has been on license review for so long. He's kind of known as the liquor czar.
The liquor czar? Okay.
I'll let him
Yeah.
speak to that, but yes.
He must be pretty old. too.
And at 9:30 it turned
True
out.
statement.
There we go.
But nonetheless, let's say that, I mean, just for the next, heir apparent to that title, that if that, ever happens, you'd want something in writing, obviously, for the License Review Committee. Even just this marked up document would make it clear that, oh yeah, we used to not have to deal with that, but now we do.
Yeah, I think it'd just be
Alright.
I think it would just, the alder could certainly inform them
Yeah.
of the
Alright.
I mean-
change in the ordinance. Because
Sounds good.
it is essentially something they would look at the fencing requirement anyway.
Right.
It's just now they have the ability to determine.
I mean,
whether it's required.
for the temporary events, we've pretty much not been we've been waiving the requirement,
Oh, okay.
except for the 4th of July festival,
Right,
because it's
right.
just really a different scale than anything else we do.
Yeah.
But if
Okay.
generally, they just, people serving beer for a couple hours after a run,
Oh, yeah.
like, do we really need a fence for that,
Right,
that kind of
okay.
thing? And yeah, I think the beer garden patio permits, I suspect if the license holders for those hear about the changes, they might initiate, changes. So it's not, it won't fall through the cracks. I did have a question. It seems like there's an, and provides at the end of E, at the first one. That seems kind of an orphan.
I thought that was just a phrase that was continued on, but not
And
shown here. Yeah.
For the license period. Yeah, that's wrong.
Something's either missing or we don't need and provides. I don't.
For the described in the application for the license period. I don't know. This is first read. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make the change and get it to you for the next read.
Okay.
Other questions?
It was really a test to see if council really
You're all
reads
reading
this
it,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay. So again, this is first read. Any questions? Feel free to reach out to Neil. He can reach out to Bill. That takes us to consideration of resolution 26-7 something, approving a capital budget amendment for conceptual design services for new public space within the Green Line development. Put forth by Parks and Recreation Director. I'm assuming that Jake gave up the ghost.
Yes, he
He's
did.
leaving
He's
it in your
he's
hand.
asked me to cover it, Mayor,
I
yes.
figured as much. So this is also scheduled for immediate action because we need to get going on park design. This is the park that we just talked about in the Green Line development that we have to assume responsibility for. So I can ask for a motion to suspend the rules and take this out of order, or if you would like to learn more about the plan from Neil before you do that, I'm open to that as well.
My only question is, in the description, it says 20,000, but the fiscal note down below seems to indicate 30.
My understanding is it should be 20, Mayor. I think the 30 may be a typo from
Okay.
our finance
All right.
director.
I mean, the
I think it's
resolution,
supposed to be 20. I know Director Anderson was requesting up to $20,000 was his request.
Is there a
Yeah.
rush on?
that's what it says in the resolution, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and just to be clear, we're not anticipating that this is overextending, that this 20,000 would be over and above. This is more about shifting funds than adding funds, because there are other, as one small example, just on the Parks and Rec front, a storage building that we previously approved for some $600,000 is most likely not going to be built this year
Okay,
because we're still in the throes of where to put it,
sure.
among other things. So we're not anticipating that we would need to dig into the fund balance.
I'll move to suspend the rules, take this out of order.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor.
I'll second.
And I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we've suspended the rules.
I'll move to approve.
And I've got a motion,
I'll
second.
second.
And I've got a second. Neil, would you like to say more about this?
Just obviously, this is related to the Green Line development. One of the remaining kind of, X factors that kind of still needs to be determined is exactly how the city is going to proceed with this particular park space that's going to be dedicated to the city. This would allow essentially Parks Director Anderson to proceed with bringing forward a couple of initial concepts for council to consider, as well as to share with the developer in terms of just kind of coordinating exactly what we might be doing. It will not be a full design. This is simply a preliminary conceptual development to allow, to hopefully make that, evaluate and make the decision as to what sort of facility the city may or may not be able to accommodate at this development. And as we are discussing the development agreement right now, we'd kind of like to get this, I think, resolved as quickly as possible.
Just a question for the administrator. 2 questions, actually. I feel like the answer is obvious. Why is this not an allowable TIF expenditure?
That, per state statute, that essentially, because there are other funding sources essentially that are dedicated towards park spaces.
Okay.
That is from our finance director. I think there are probably plenty of examples, I'm guessing, out there in Wisconsin where that probably has been used, where it has maybe gotten by the auditors and not done that. But again, to the mayor's point, because of the amount and the kind of what, hopefully some savings we're anticipating in other capital items this year, well, hopefully this is just, the intention would be this would just be a transfer of funds.
I will talk to Mark later. My recollection of the statute is we're precluded from using TIF to construct park and rec facilities, park shelters, that kind of stuff. Planning,
Maybe?
it's an operational thing. I can talk to him, but.
Okay.
I side with the attorney on that one. But
I'm all right with that.
But as I recall, the warehouse was using parkland dedication fees, right?
But for that particular, Mayor, I think, was just using that as an
As an
example.
example.
Alder. There are several other capital projects we think there's going to be, we could be potentially be under budget on, that we could transfer funds from that project to this particular one.
Okay.
So something that's already budgeted, we'd just be moving that extra capacity
Okay.
to the new project. So-
Finding that
Quick
loose
question.
change that you talked about?
Yeah, well, exactly. Maybe we're gonna do 2 or 3 to make it go, but yeah, we come in under budget, it's a good thing, so.
And just to be clear, we needed a majority vote, not 2/3, like the fiscal note says.
No, you need 2/3 for a
This is a-
budget
This is a
amendment.
budget amendment.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay. So, any other questions on this? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Terrific. Reports of elected officials and staff. I think we've cut down the, thank you, Neil.
Yep. This is still the place to report on anything sustainability, diversity,
Right.
DEI types of things and things that
Yeah,
you're working
we
on.
just decided
We
we
just
didn't
didn't
need
want
a
the mayor to have
paragraph.
to continuously read the entire statement every meeting, so.
Yeah.
This is still a place for, we certainly encourage everyone to still report on those things in this section here.
So, that being the case, I'm going to start. Rick, do you have anything to report?
Landmarks, we may or may not meet this month, but in general, we're trying to apply for another grant from the State Historical Society to develop design guidelines, mostly for the Frostwoods Historic District. There's no mandatory
Yep.
control, but it does offer people some advice about how to approach any revision or renovation, especially if they're interested in tax credits. So this would be our 4th grant if we get it from the State Historical Society.
Thank you. Anything else?
No.
Teresa?
I don't have any big committee reports, but I'll just say one thing about the e-recycling event that happened last weekend. Kind of interesting, there were more cars and people that went through the event, but the amount that we collected was less in
Really?
terms of pounds,
So,
because nobody has those great big old-fashioned TVs anymore. All of our electronics are
Right.
smaller now.
that's
Right, so even though there were more people, but we only recycled a total of 4,000 pounds, whereas in years past, there have been, 5, 6, up to 10,000. It was kind of interesting. When I saw that, I thought, oh, shoot, that's too bad.
No,
But then
hopefully
you
that-
read into them like, wait a minute, but we had more participation,
Yeah,
so.
hopefully that means that people have less stuff that they
Less
recycle.
stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's okay,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So,
Yeah, it was a great event, Alder. We've heard, staff's heard nothing but good things about it, so.
yay. All right, that's it for me.
Okay. Doug?
No report. I just wanted to give kudos to the park staff who were out there yesterday on Sunday cleaning up after the festival.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're getting paid and stuff, but still. So that was great.
Yeah. I just driving in tonight, I know I was duly impressed. I mean, the park looked great.
Yeah.
And I know that the Community Festival Committee also did, took some serious opportunities for improvement around that front, so it was easier too. Like, for instance, as somebody who has bartended every year for the last 10, I can tell you that we used to just throw the tickets on the ground when we took tickets from people.
Yep.
And so all those little tickets, sort of
Oh.
like this big, had to be
Embedded
picked up
into the
off the
ground.
ground.
Yeah.
And lo and
Yeah.
behold, we had a receptacle right behind the bar so that we could just put them in the receptacle right away. So that was just one small way, but I also know I saw, a lot of staff, committee members that were ongoing throughout the
Yeah,
weekend.
that's
So,
great.
much appreciated, yeah. Okay, Rachel?
Parks and public safety both met since last meeting, mostly talking about capital budget. Public safety did also discuss the impact of new developments on police, fire and EMS, so more to come on that. Just original exploratory conversation, but definitely concern from the departments as we've heard at council as well.
Okay, thank you. Attorney Cole?
No report.
No report.
I'll actually report something.
Okay. Awesome.
So towards the end of June, we got the ballot drop box installed, camera on it for security. And so that was definitely one of my goals to accomplish pretty early on. So the ballot drop box is sitting just to the left of the main entrance outside, and people can put their absentee ballots in that drop box as kind of a convenient way to leave their ballots in there. And I plan to have that set up. It'll stay set up for every election. On the flip side, that also meant that the utility drop box didn't have to be removed anymore. We didn't have a way to lock that up when we were having an election. I wasn't here for it, but I heard that they tried to put a black trash bag over it just to prevent people from dropping ballots. And even that didn't work. People would tear through the bag. So it had to be removed. So it's an added convenience that the utility drop box can stay up year round and not have to come down during elections. So we've got both of those offerings, and I'm just happy to have seen that happen. So, thank you.
Just very briefly, just a shout out to PD and fire and EMS staff who helped out with the festival this weekend. It sounds like the traffic plan worked very, very well again this year. There's still a lot of folks who come down to a very small confined area, and I think for the most part got out okay. I know that Chief Cheney did say there were still some parking issues and some other things that we might need to still try to figure out how to get a few more boots on the ground to help keep people moving at the front end of that as they're leaving their parking stalls. But again, seeing a little bit more continuous improvement, I think, on the event every year. So certainly credit to Brian Henry and his volunteers and everybody who's done the work. Overall, I think a very positive experience. The weather miraculously cooperated, and we got through everything. And so all in all, certainly it was a great event, I think. So thank you to all the staff who spent their weekend helping out.
Great. Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. I just have a few things. One is I too want to just extend my thanks to not only staff but the community festival team. And list for those people that may not be aware, every night of the community festival was a night for money to come back to the city. So the first night was for our fire department, and the second night was for our canine program. And there's no question that Recon was the star of the show on day 2. To see him around, I mean, he was just going around kissing kids. Like, you know. And they were like, couldn't wait to have their picture taken with him. He was just a real sweetheart. And I had an opportunity to talk with Luke too and ask him how it went, since he just started in the schools at the end of the school year. And Luke said he thought that, like, his impact would be here, and instead it was here
I
in
bet.
just a few weeks.
I
That there were
bet.
kids that had never even, you know, opened their mouth or said hello or, you know, engaged at all, that all of a sudden are very engaged. So was super pumped, and he's adorable, so. And by the way, on September 20th, the annual golf outing for the K-9 program,
Oh.
blowing up on your golf game with that new set of clubs,
Yeah.
Rachel.
September
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And, but really, overall, I think a great event. And the Harry White Horse Festival as well, for those people that didn't get there. The sculptures are all up on San Damiano now, and will be there for another week or two before moving to their temporary homes, Obrook and likely Garver again, to cure for a year before they're installed permanently somewhere. Locations still TBD, but I'm certain that Monona will get some again. Artists were really terrific, and the community was just fantastic all week long. Then I wanted to just report out too that we just had a mayor's meeting. You know, I get together sometimes once a month, once every couple of months with the local mayors. And there were 3 topics that we talked about. First of all, the meeting was at the fish hatchery.
Oh, yeah. I saw that.
And if you haven't gone to the fish hatchery, it's worth a tour. It's really spectacular, and worth a tour. And we got the tour in addition to meeting in Fitchburg. And I had no idea that the property that the fish hatchery is on is as large as it is. It's actually way more acreage than I would have thought the DNR owned there. So it's right off the Cap Trail. So highly recommend the fish hatchery. But there are 3 items in particular that we talked about. One is everybody's still talking about the license plate readers and finding an alternative to Flock. We know how important it is for our public safety to have an alternative. And so, you know, the mayors agreed that we're going to continue to work. And by the way, if you didn't see it, the county actually passed a resolution on this in June, late June, passed a resolution to refund the license plate readers and give the authority of the sheriff's department to find an alternative. And the Dane County board actually spelled out the requirements of what that the alternatives. So those requirements have been put into an RFP that the sheriff's office is using. So we're talking about that as mayors as well. And Brian, Chief Cheney has actually said that he gets phone calls, like multiple phone calls a week. There are plenty of license plate readers out there. Just depend, you know, they all have different capabilities, but there's been a lot of salespeople calling on police departments these days. The other thing that we talked about that was originally brought up by Madison Mayor Satya was that almost all of what used to be software that cities use has gone, not surprisingly, has gone to the iCloud. Not surprising. It's web-based. Not surprising at all. But then what's happening is that they're they're charging annual licensing fees that are oftentimes pretty steep. And those licensing fees, unlike something like a software package, can only be accounted for in your operating budget. So for even a small operation like Monona, that can be a major hit when you think about all the different bits of webware that we use. And for somebody like Madison, it's really putting a gigantic dent in their operating budget. So we're talking with the DCCVA about trying to get those fees exempt from the levy limit, at least, so that they could be accounted for with something like like the wheel tax that's exempt from the levy limit. So that was the other thing that was brought up. And the third thing, and I think the important thing as we come up on August, is as everybody knows, our next election is August 11th, and we talked about the Trump administration's attempt to impact absentee voting in particular, and specifically the proposal made by the USPS to not deliver absentee ballots. And so I'll be talking about it on the radio as well, but what we talked about is that, it's obviously that proposal has been in the courts already, but I just want people to know that we have the drop box. First of all, that the people can get absentee ballots for August 11th anytime. And second, they can request an absentee ballot, and to be safe, rather than sorry, we're advocating for people using the drop box, dropping their absentee ballot at City Hall, or coming to City Hall and voting early. And so, like all elections, early voting starts 2 weeks before August 11th, and people will be able to come into City Hall. In other words, don't leave it to USPS, because we don't know what's going to happen with the proposal that's before us. And I would hate people to feel like, I stuck my ballot in the mail, and then somehow it didn't get to us. So, so that's the other thing that we talked about. And we also had a good meeting with Bray. The staff, head staff had a good meeting with Bray to discuss the proposals for our new civic public safety building. We have, as we've said before, we've kind of winnowed it down. They're still working towards we have two, but it's not, nothing's finalized to be able to present to you guys yet. They're still noodling with, well, I think this door should be over here, and this, but we hope to have something certainly in time for our capital budget planning for 27. So we're moving along there. It was a good meeting. We have no appointments tonight. With that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.